out long enough. So this is the third current change since the game was supposed to be on Thanksgiving. And the first game was pushed back to Sunday, which left Week 13 game dates with Washington and Dallas intact for the time being. But when the game was pushed to Tuesday, that forced the Cowboys-Ravens Thursday night game to be switched to Monday, December 7th. If you're still with me, everything has been moved another day forward. Steelers and Washington now play on Monday, with the Ravens and Cowboys pushed back to Tuesday, because of course. So Week 12 in the NFL will stretch all the way to Wednesday. Adam Schefter joins us now. Adam, let me start with the start time. 3:40 Wednesday afternoon. Why?
Well, Scott, there was the Rockefeller Center Christmas tree lighting ceremony that NBC had promoted for days now. And so the NFL, which usually takes a backseat to nobody, now will start at 3:40, 12:40 on the West Coast there, Scott. So if you're having lunch in California, you can have lunch and watch the Ravens-Steelers, one of the great rivalries in the NFL, kick off on a Wednesday at midday to wrap up the longest Week 12 in NFL history.
Yeah, the longest week ever, right, in NFL history. And I'm looking at this, Adam, and look, it's supposed to be a Thursday Thanksgiving game. Then it gets pushed to Sunday. Then it gets pushed to Tuesday. Then it gets pushed to Wednesday. At this point, what would have to happen for this game not to happen?
I think there would have to be more positive tests out of Baltimore. All along, this has been about the NFL identifying, isolating, and containing the virus. And I think the one with Willie Snead on Sunday night, the Baltimore Ravens wide receiver, really shook up the NFL because they thought they were past it at that point in time. And then there was another positive on Monday, but it was with a player who's on IR who has been in the Ravens training room. And so there are issues there. Now, if there is another positive test, could we see this postponement be permanent to where this game gets pushed off to another time, potentially even canceled? Yeah, that's possible. But I think you would have to take more positives in Baltimore for that to happen, Scott.
Adam, you obviously know far more people around the league than I do, but the folks I know have had this reaction, and I'll paraphrase it down to this. Denver didn't have a quarterback, and the league basically said, tough luck. Why has the extreme amount of latitude been showed to this game to allow them to go from Thursday to Sunday to Tuesday to Wednesday?
Yeah, because I go back to what I said earlier. Basically, it's about containment. And in Denver, the NFL felt it had the virus contained, and therefore it could go play the game. The NFL is not worried about competitive advantage. That's not what this season in a pandemic is about. In Baltimore, the league has struggled to contain this virus. Could not. And so each time it could not and it spread, they pushed back the game even more. And there are players now that still are apprehensive about getting on that plane together in this group with these individuals to go play a game against the Steelers. That was not occurring in Denver on Sunday.
Understood, and that's a reasonable explanation. It's just, I think, as we said from the jump, I go back to our conversations from the summer. There's going to be situations we're going to have to figure out on the fly, and that's where we are right now, and that's why you and I are talking on Monday about a Wednesday 3:40 game, Adam. I appreciate it as always. We'll talk soon.
Thank you, Scott. Appreciate it.
Still to come, more reaction from the Seahawks victory.
Sports Center with Scott Van Pelt. Brought to you by Subway. Get a free footlong when you buy two. Now, only in-app or online, because it's footlong season.
Monday Night Football. Seattle beats Philadelphia, in large part because DK Metcalf did what he often does, had a big night. You see Darius Slay, and the completion percentage as the nearest defender is significantly higher than league average. Here you see Russell eyeballs the middle of the field and realizes I got my guy going deep, and Russell's as good as anyone throwing the deep ball. Slay, hard to put the blame on him there. They would score later in the drive. Later in the quarter, Wilson so dangerous, rolling out, finds DK, leaping over Slay and out of bounds. Had 118 receiving yards in the first half. Second time this season in triple figures by the half. Third quarter, again, Wilson loading up to 14. Metcalf shaken up a bit on the play, but would return later. In the fourth, Like, this goes as a completion with him and as the nearest defender, but like, what? That's his fault? Come on. What are you going to do? Besides nothing. Metcalf, 10 grabs, 177 yards, 7 and 141 with Slay drawing that short straw and having to try to contain that dude right there. Looking at the NFC playoff picture, fascinating to see what the Saints are doing. Their quarterback hasn't thrown a touchdown since he was at BYU like 15 years ago. Doesn't matter. There's Seattle currently 8-3. Green Bay there as well. You get back into a complicated situation if the Saints were to lose again, about a three-way tiebreaker and all the rest of that. Meanwhile, who leads the NFC East at the moment? That's the G-Men. A little more on Metcalf now. Who we got? Pete Carroll? All right, 177 yards tonight. Metcalf, the new NFL leader in receiving yards with 1,039. He's also nearing 2,000 in his career with 5 games left in the season. Less than 100 yards shy of Joey Galloway for the most yards through 2 seasons in Seahawks history. Ryan Clark joins us as he does every Monday. And Ryan, let's turn it from the offense of the Seahawks to the defense and what they were able to do to Wentz. They pressured him on 18 of 53 dropbacks. He was off target on 10 of 42 attempts. So, I mean, look, we're in a blame credit society. We like to give blame more than we like to give credit. If we're gonna give one or the other tonight, I mean, where do you lean?
I want to give credit to the Seattle Seahawks because this defense was talked about as the reason why they wouldn't be able to win a championship. The last 2 weeks, they've been amazing. Here, you're going to see them show middle of the field safety with a twist up front, and they roll to 2 deep. When they roll to 2 deep, they confuse Carson Wentz, and now that allows the pressure to get to him, and that's a sack. Also, now we're going to see them switch it up. They're going to show that single high safety again. Instead of rolling it too high, they play man-to-man. There's a tackle stunt up front, and now Carson Wentz has to hold the ball because there's no one open. They're still working with 4-man rushes, but getting to the quarterback. And on the final one, they have a fire zone where you drop out the D tackle, bring your best rusher, Jamal Adams, off the edge. There's a screen set up by the Philadelphia Eagles that he's unblocked on the outside, just too fast, just too athletic, and he gets to Carson Wentz. This defense has started to pick it up. You saw them curtail what Kyler Murray could do on the ground a couple of weeks ago, and now you see them get after the Philadelphia Eagles. This team is getting better. This defense is playing better. And when you watch the complimentary football of the Seattle Seahawks, they're not playing Russell YOLO ball anymore. They're playing championship football. And that's how this team can go far in the playoffs.
All right, we have some more conversation coming a little bit later on. And I'll just paraphrase what Ryan and I had a conversation off air. For Philadelphia fans who say, give us Hurts, you don't want Hurts because he'd get hurt. Get behind this O-line. That wouldn't be any good.
You get hurt.
You don't want that. You don't want that at all. All right, more conversation coming with you, Ryan, just a little bit. Thanks, man.
Bye.